I am 78 years old. Over the last 7 decades, I have shared my home, my supper table, my sleepless nights, and my heart with more than 30 cats. I have buried tiny kittens wrapped in old towels. I have watched old cats take their final breaths beside my chair in the middle of winter nights so quiet they still echo in my bones. And today, I see young people making the same painful mistakes with their cats that I made when I was young, especially when it comes to sadness, especially when it comes to tears. Most people still believe cats are cold creatures, independent, distant, selfish. But after living almost an entire lifetime beside them, I can tell you something that still shakes me to my core. Your cat knows when you're crying. Oh yes, they know far more than you think. And what they do next may be the most important thing you are ignoring in your entire relationship with them. I learned this lesson too late. 43 years too late, to be exact. And there is one memory that still keeps me awake some nights. I will tell you about her soon. Her name was Mabel. Gray fur, green eyes, tiny white paws that sounded like soft rain on my wooden floors. But before I tell you what she did the night my life nearly fell apart, you need to understand something about cats that most humans never stop long enough to see. Cats study us. Constantly. Quietly. While dogs rush toward noise and excitement, cats observe patterns. Your breathing, your footsteps, the way you close doors, the rhythm of your voice, even the silence between your words. They memorize your emotional weather better than most people do. They notice when you skip meals, when your shoulders droop, when your hands tremble, when you stare at nothing for too long, and when tears come, they know before the first one even falls. I used to laugh at people who said their cats comforted them emotionally. Back in my 30s, I was stubborn and proud. I thought cats only cared about food and warm blankets. Then one November evening changed me forever. My wife had just left the house after a terrible argument. Rain hammered against the window so hard it sounded like stones. I remember sitting alone at the kitchen table with my face buried in my hands. I thought I was alone anyway. I cried harder than I had since childhood. Not graceful tears either. Broken tears. The kind that leave your chest aching. And then I felt something touch my ankle. It was Mabel. Now here is the strange part. Mabel was not a cuddly cat. She hated laps. She barely tolerated being picked up. Most evenings she preferred sitting by the fireplace alone like some tiny old queen judging the world. But that night she climbed directly into my lap for the first time in 6 years. 6 years. And she pressed her face against my chest while I cried. I can still hear her purring. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a deep, steady vibration. Like she was trying to hold my shattered pieces together with sound alone. At the time, I dismissed it. I told myself it was coincidence. But over the years, I saw it happen again and again with other cats. Different personalities, different homes. Same strange behavior whenever sorrow entered the room. And this is the heartbreaking mistake humans make. They notice these moments, then ignore them. They push the cat away. They continue staring at their phones. They lock themselves in bathrooms to cry alone. They think the cat is simply being needy or curious. No, listen carefully to me now. Your cat is responding to your pain the only way they know how. Some cats become unusually quiet when you cry. That silence is not indifference, it is caution. They sense something is wrong and enter what I call emotional watchfulness. They sit nearby and monitor you carefully. Have you noticed your cat staring at you from a doorway while you cry? That is not random. They are studying your face, your breathing, your sounds. Other cats become physically attached to you during sadness. Suddenly they rub against your legs, press their forehead into your hand, or crawl onto your chest. Humans often misunderstand this. They think my cat wants attention. But old age has taught me something else. Sometimes your cat is not asking for comfort. Sometimes they are trying to give it. And then there are the cats who do something so subtle most people miss it entirely. They simply stay near you. Oh, this one breaks my heart. Years ago, after my brother died, I spent weeks drifting through my house like a ghost. I barely spoke, barely slept. My orange tabby Walter never sat on me once during that time, never purred loudly, never meowed. But every single room I entered, he quietly entered too. If I sat in the garden, he sat beneath the bench. If I lay awake at night, he curled near my feet. If I stood washing dishes in silence, he watched from the doorway. That cat followed my grief like a shadow. And I almost ignored it because I was too wrapped up in my own sorrow to notice what he was offering me. You see, cats do not comfort humans the way humans comfort each other. They are not therapists with speeches and advice. Cats communicate through presence, through closeness, through energy, through tiny gestures repeated softly over time. I wish someone had explained this to me when I was young. Maybe I would have understood why my old black cat, June, scratched at the bathroom door every time I cried after my divorce. Maybe I would have understood why Oliver stopped eating whenever I sank into long periods of depression. Cats absorb the emotional atmosphere around them more deeply than people realize. And now I must tell you something difficult. Sometimes your cat becomes anxious because of your sadness. People do not like hearing this, but it is true. Cats are emotionally sensitive creatures. If you spend weeks angry, grieving, yelling, sobbing, or emotionally shut down, your cat feels the tension living inside your home. They may hide more, overgroom themselves, stop eating properly, become clingy or unusually distant. I once had a beautiful Siamese named Eleanor. During one terrible year of my life, I was drinking too much and grieving too many losses all at once. I cried often back then, more than I admitted to anyone. Eleanor began pulling fur from her own tail until bald patches appeared. The veterinarian said it was stress behavior. Stress from living beside me. That realization nearly destroyed me. People forget that animals are not decorations inside our sadness. They live inside the emotional climate we create. Your cat may not understand why you are crying, but they absolutely understand that something inside their human is hurting. And here is the secret I promised earlier, the painful truth I learned too late. Sometimes the way your cat reacts to your tears reveals how emotionally connected they truly feel to you. Not every cat responds the same way. Some approach instantly, some freeze, some watch from a distance, some avoid sadness because it frightens them. But if your cat changes their behavior when you cry, even slightly, it means they are emotionally tuned into your state. They are paying attention to you in ways most humans no longer pay attention to each other. That realization humbled me deeply in old age. I have seen husbands ignore wives crying in kitchens while the family cat climbed gently into her lap. I have seen lonely widowers survive devastating winters because a small animal refused to leave their side. I have seen teenagers sob into pillows while their cats pressed against their backs all night long like silent guardians. And still people say cats do not love. No, cats love differently. Human beings want dramatic declarations. We want words, grand gestures. Cats offer quieter things, a warm body beside your grief, slow blinking eyes during lonely nights, tiny paws resting against your arm while you tremble. They say, I am here without speaking at all. There was one final moment with Mabel I have never forgotten. Near the end of her life, she grew very weak. Her kidneys were failing. She barely ate. One night I sat beside her basket, crying because I knew our years together were ending. My tears fell onto the blanket beside her frail little body. And despite barely having strength to stand, that old cat lifted her head and touched her nose against my wrist. Even dying, she tried to comfort me. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Your cat notices your suffering. Your cat remembers your emotional patterns. Your cat responds in ways small enough for distracted humans to overlook. But if you slow down, if you truly pay attention, you will realize you are not nearly as alone as you think you are. So the next time you cry and your cat suddenly appears beside you, do not ignore it. Do not shove them away absent-mindedly. Do not laugh it off as coincidence. Look carefully at what they are doing. Are they sitting closer than usual, staring at your face, resting near your feet, purring softly, following you from room to room afterward? That is communication. That is love in the language of cats. And perhaps, after all these years, I have finally realized something else too. Cats may not heal heartbreak completely, but they often stop people from drowning inside it. At 78 years old, after burying more beloved cats than I can bear to count, I no longer believe they enter our lives by accident. I think they arrive quietly to teach us how to sit with sorrow without abandoning each other. Humans run from pain. Cats stay beside it. That is their wisdom. And if you are fortunate enough to have a cat waiting for you at home tonight, please, when this video ends, go find them. Sit beside them for a moment. Hold them gently if they allow it. Listen to that tiny heartbeat beneath all that fur. Because one day the house will grow terribly quiet and you will miss even the sound of their paws crossing the floor at midnight. I know I do. I do not have many years left now. Old age has a way of whispering uncomfortable truths into your ear when the world becomes still. But if my old memories helped you today, stay with me. Subscribe. Leave a like. Share your cat's strange little habits in the comments below, because every old cat story keeps their spirit alive a little longer. And tonight, if your cat climbs beside you while you are hurting, do not ignore what they do next.